All right, buckle up, everybody, because we're about to take a deep dive into the PlayStation world. And specifically, their latest announcement that has really got everyone talking, that brand new PlayStation Portal update.
Yeah, it's certainly causing a stir, especially all the news about the introduction of that cloud streaming beta.
Definitely. It's been about a year, right, since the PS Portal first launched.
Hmm.
All the hype back then was about taking console-quality gaming literally anywhere. And with this update, it really feels like they're doubling down and actually delivering on that promise. Before we jump into all the details about the cloud streaming, though, the update does mention a few interesting tweaks to the audio settings.
Oh yeah, for sure. The update will give users more granular control over the speaker volume, and they're also including some nice optimizations for folks using PlayStation Link devices.
Kind of like fine-tuning the setup before the main event. So let's get to it. Let's talk about this cloud streaming beta. Now, it's only for PlayStation Plus Premium members, which is interesting. Seems like Sony might be using this as a way to showcase what their top-tier subscription can offer.
It could be a way to entice users to upgrade, especially with the lineup of games available for streaming. We're talking over 120 PS5 games from the PlayStation Plus game catalog.
Wait, hold up. 120 games. That's a pretty massive library from the get-go.
Yeah, and we're not talking about just any old games here.
Right.
These are some big hitters, like Ghost of Tsushima and Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Pretty much if you're a fan of PlayStation, there's got to be something on that list that's going to grab your attention.
And the other thing that's really important to note is that it's still a beta,
Right.
which means it's a chance for players to get in early and potentially help shape how this feature evolves over time.
Okay, so before we get too ahead of ourselves
Yeah.
and start daydreaming about playing Spider-Man on our lunch break, let's break down some of the technical stuff. The blog post mentions streaming resolutions up to 1080p at 60 fps.
Yeah, and they're really stressing the importance of a strong internet connection. It's absolutely crucial for a good experience. They even go as far as laying out the minimum upload and download speeds, depending on the resolution you're going for.
Which makes total sense. Lag in a fast-paced game would be a deal breaker. The next thing they talked about is the DualSense features that will be supported in the cloud. And this is where things get really interesting for me.
What stands out to you there?
Well, they're talking about having haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, even touchpad emulation on the touchscreen. It seems like they're really going all in to replicate that super immersive DualSense experience, even when you're streaming the game. That seems like a big deal.
It definitely is. It shows that they're not just focused on getting the game to run smoothly. They're thinking about how to make it feel like you're playing on a console, even down to the way the controller feels in your hands.
And then there's the cloud save data. Up to 100 gigabytes of storage space for your progress. And it's synced with your PS5. So theoretically, you could seamlessly switch between playing on your console and then pick up right where you left off on the Portal.
That's pretty cool.
But let's be real, no beta is perfect. What are some of the limitations they've pointed out so far?
Well, for starters, they're pretty upfront about the fact that PS4 and PS3 games aren't supported yet. And there are certain features that are still in development, stuff like game trials, streaming games you've actually purchased that aren't part of the PlayStation Plus catalog, party chat, all of that is missing for now. Even the create button functionality isn't fully there yet.
So it sounds like they're being transparent about where things are at
Uh-huh.
and reminding everyone that it's a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and one other thing to mention is that the PlayStation Plus Premium plan, the one you need for this beta,
Yeah.
isn't actually available everywhere yet.
Right, it's limited to certain countries.
For anyone who does have access and can't wait to try it out, the blog post has step-by-step instructions on how to enable the cloud streaming beta once the update is live.
At least they're making it easy to find.
Sounds like good news for all the early adopters out there who are eager to get their hands on it.
For sure. And, you know, it all leads to some pretty interesting questions. Like, where is Sony ultimately going with all of this? Is the Portal going to become more than just a way to play your PS5 games remotely? Or are they hinting at a much larger cloud gaming strategy? That's what we'll be unpacking as we dig deeper into this update.
There's a big question. A lot to unpack there. And a lot of potential directions this could go. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating question. This seemingly small update to the PlayStation Portal could actually be a sign of a much bigger shift in how Sony approaches gaming in general.
Right, and that's what I'm so curious about.
Are they gearing up to compete more directly with Microsoft and their Xbox Game Pass cloud gaming service?
It really makes you think. I mean, if cloud gaming truly takes off, the console itself becomes almost irrelevant.
Right. The focus shifts entirely to the games you can access and the service that provides them.
And that could potentially open up the PlayStation ecosystem to a whole new audience. Think about people who maybe can't afford a PS5, or just prefer the flexibility of playing games on multiple devices.
All they would need is a good internet connection and a subscription.
No more being tied to one box under your TV.
Exactly. You could start a game on your phone during your commute, continue playing on your Portal at lunch, then finish it off on your TV when you get home.
That kind of seamless experience would be a game changer.
Definitely. And it goes beyond just convenience. Think about the potential impact on game development itself.
How so?
Well, if developers know they're creating games for a cloud-based environment, it could lead to some really innovative designs. Games that really leverage the power of cloud technology.
Like pushing the boundaries in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
Exactly. It's kind of like when music and video went from physical copies to streaming services.
It feels like we're on the verge of a similar shift in the gaming world.
Definitely. But just like with any major technological transition, there will be challenges.
Oh, for sure.
Things like internet reliability and data caps are still major concerns.
Not to mention the potential for lag.
Especially for certain types of games. Like, imagine trying to play a competitive shooter online with even a little bit of lag.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
And then there are the bigger philosophical questions. Like, what happens to the concept of game ownership in a cloud-based world?
Do we keep buying individual games? Or does it all become about subscriptions?
How will developers get paid? These are all things that are still being figured out.
It's a lot to unpack. But it's exciting to be part of the conversation as it's happening.
We're witnessing a potential paradigm shift in the world of gaming.
And the PlayStation Portal update feels like a major step in that direction.
Absolutely. And Sony's not alone in this. You've got Microsoft really pushing Xbox Game Pass. Google Stadia is still trying to find its footing. Even Amazon is getting involved with Luna.
It's a crowded field. But that's ultimately good for us, right? More competition should lead to better services and more choices for gamers.
I think so. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Will we see a few dominant platforms emerge? Or will there be room for a variety of different approaches to cloud gaming?
And what about the games themselves? Will we mostly see ports of existing games? Or will developers really embrace the unique possibilities that cloud gaming offers?
I think we'll see a mix of both. There will always be a demand for the familiar, but the truly innovative stuff, the games that really push the boundaries, will likely come from developers who are willing to experiment and really explore what this new technology can do.
Yeah, it's like we're at this really interesting crossroads in the gaming world. On one side, we have that familiar model of consoles and PCs, where it's all about having the most powerful hardware, and everything is processed locally. And then on the other side, you have this whole cloud gaming movement gaining momentum, promising accessibility, flexibility, and a totally new way to experience the games we love.
It does feel like there's a bit of a tug of war happening right now between the old way and the new way.
Totally.
And it's hard to say for sure which direction things will ultimately go. But for the average gamer, it's an exciting time to be alive. There are more possibilities than ever before.
And more choices. With this PlayStation Portal update, it seems like Sony's made their stance pretty clear.
They're not just dipping their toes in the water anymore.
They're diving headfirst into the cloud gaming world. But for folks who are still on the fence about cloud gaming, what are some of the biggest concerns that we should address?
Well, as we've already talked about, internet reliability is probably the biggest one. Cloud gaming is entirely dependent on having a stable, high-speed connection.
Which, unfortunately, a lot of people still don't have.
Exactly. And any lag, buffering, or dropped connections can completely ruin the experience.
Especially for those genres that require quick reflexes and split-second timing.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of data caps.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Streaming games can eat up a lot of data really quickly.
Especially if you're on a limited plan.
And that can get expensive fast.
Those are all definitely valid concerns.
Yeah, but the good news is that technology is constantly improving.
Sure.
Internet speeds are getting faster. Data caps are becoming less restrictive. And the infrastructure that supports cloud gaming is getting more robust every day.
So you're optimistic that these challenges can be overcome?
I am. I think in the long run, the potential benefits of cloud gaming outweigh the risks.
I agree. Think about being able to play the latest games on pretty much any device you own without having to buy a bunch of expensive hardware.
It makes gaming a lot more accessible and affordable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it could lead to a more diverse gaming landscape overall.
Definitely smaller developers and indie studios would have a much easier time reaching a wider audience.
It wouldn't just be about the big AAA games anymore.
It would open up so many possibilities for creativity and innovation.
And that's a future I'm excited about. This PlayStation Portal update has certainly given us a lot to think about.
Yeah, it's clear that we're on the verge of a major transformation in the gaming world.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see how the relationship between consoles, cloud gaming, and PC gaming evolves from here. Will they all be able to coexist peacefully, or will one eventually become the dominant platform?
Only time will tell. But we'll be here to break it all down every step of the way. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. If cloud gaming really does become the standard, will we even care about owning physical copies of games anymore? Or will the whole concept of ownership eventually become as irrelevant as it is for music and movies these days? It's a question worth thinking about as we enter this brave new world of gaming. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the PlayStation Portal update. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep playing.